And we are excited to facilitate our 12th annual Parent Empowerment Conference. Hold on. There we go. We always like to thank our Board of Education for their support that allows us to be able to bring programming to our families. And again, if you need Spanish interpretation para escuchar en español, haga clic en interpretación. We just want to share with you a little bit about us at the Family Support Center. The Family Support Center, we have 3 staff who work in the office. Myself, my name is Yvette Young, and I am a social worker by trade. Also with us is Dr. Beth Gieche, and she is an instructional supervisor, as well as a board certified behavior analyst. And also on our team is Marcy Torshin, who is also a program specialist in our office. These are our avatars, and anytime you see us, our Family Support Center screen, you'll also be able to access other links for our mission, our resources, and our workshops. Hello. What happened? And of course, let me try this again because it froze on me. Why is it not progressing? Okay, there we go. Oh, maybe that's the last screen. Maybe that's it. Okay, so I'm excited to bring to you tonight a wonderful, wonderful group of presenters who are going to talk to us on the topic of self-care and wellness, making time to take care of you. I am going to stop the share so that they will have an opportunity to bring up their presentations, and let me tell you who they are. We have with us tonight Ms. Andrea Burrell, Ms. Dana Cunningham, and Ms. Catherine Steffens, who all work in health and wellness in some shape, form, or fashion. I'm going to let them introduce themselves as they hopefully can share and bring up their presentation.
One second, we can go ahead and begin introducing ourselves as I bring up the presentation.
Hi, everybody. I am Dana Cunningham. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and program director of the Prince George's School Mental Health Initiative.
I'm Kathy Steffens. I am a well-being consultant. I help support employee wellness, and certified health coach, and a certified exercise physiologist.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Burrell. I am a special education instructional specialist with the Department of Special Education. And we are excited to be with you this evening. The title of our presentation, Self-Care and Wellness, Make Time to Take Care of You, something that I'm sure all of us could benefit from doing. So we just went ahead and shared a little bit about ourselves. So now we would like to know a little bit about you. So if you are here with us, feel free to let us know who you are. So maybe you share whether or not you're a parent, you're a sibling, you're a student, or you are a friend or other family member of a student with a disability. All right. So feel free to continue to drop those in the chat as we proceed. Super excited to have you all with us this evening. Before we begin, just taking a moment to pause and to thank the Prince George's County Board of Education for all of the work that they do on behalf of Prince George's County Public Schools.
All right, so to let you know what we will be covering today, I will have an opportunity to help you think through what your primary sources of stress are. We'll be discussing some very practical ways that you can incorporate wellness strategies into your day-to-day life. And you'll have an opportunity to practice some breathing and movement techniques to support your health and wellness. And we're also going to give you lots of tools throughout the evening to help you implement a self-care plan.
In this space, we want to make sure you know that this is a no judgment zone, a judgment-free zone. So we want you to be in the moment, practice self-compassion, and feel free to drop in the chat and chat with us as we go through the sessions.
Okay, so just to give you a better idea of what we're going to be covering today. So we're going to start with some opening, kind of discuss wellness and health and stress management a little bit. And then we're going to have 3 separate sessions. So I'm going to lead out a session called Self-Care and Wellness. And then Kathy is going to lead a session, The Road to Wellness and Self-Care. And then Andrea is going to lead us in our gentle chair yoga mindful movement session. And then we will briefly come back and discuss our experiences this evening.
All right, so before we get started, we are going to start off with a check-in. And again, this is a wellness presentation. So we are going to start off with a little mindful check-in just to give ourselves the opportunity to become present for this presentation. So I invite you to sit up nice and tall wherever you may be. Maybe you feel your bottom resting in your chair. If it feels good, maybe your feet are nice and firmly planted on the ground beneath you. Go ahead and hunch your shoulders up towards your ears, and then nice and slowly allow them to fall. Your chest is nice and broad, your shoulders are relaxed. If it feels good to you, go ahead and either close your eyes or maybe you lower your gaze by looking down into your lap. Whatever feels good to you. We're going to take just a few moments to connect to your own natural breathing pattern. Just notice your breath. Maybe this is the first time that you've paused to notice your breath all day. What do you notice? Is your breath shallow? Is it quick? And now when you're ready, we invite you to take a nice deep breath through your nostrils and nice and gently blow it out. We're going to do that 2 more times together. Nice deep breath in. And a nice slow exhale out. Maybe this time you notice the rise and fall of your chest and your stomach. Nice deep breath in. And a nice deep breath out. Just taking a moment here to identify 2 words that really captures how you feel in this moment. And once you have those 2 words, go ahead and take one more deep breath in. And a nice slow exhale out. And when you are ready, go ahead and open up your eyes, coming back into this space. And if you would like, feel free to share your 2 words with our community by placing them in the chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you for participating in that check-in with us, all right? So we see very relaxed, we see open, awesome, awesome, hopeful, a bit tense, calm, Thank you. Thank you for sharing, knowing that all of these feelings are part of the human experience. They are all a welcome. And we know that as we go throughout our time together, that we can hold space for those people that are feeling open and hopeful, as well as anyone who may be feeling a little tense as well. Thank you for sharing.
All right, so as we prepare to dig into this content a little bit more, just sort of take a moment and think about, like on a scale from 1 to 10, about how often do you experience stress? And just sort of reflect on your typical day, your typical week. Are you experiencing stress at home, stress at work? Stress dealing with things that are happening in the community or in your environment? Just kind of do a little check-in and just sort of get a sense of how frequently you would say you experience stress. It could be every day. It could be 3 to 4 times a week. It could be, maybe once a month. Everybody's a little bit different in terms of how frequently they experience stress. But I don't think you'll find one person who says, I never experience stress, because stress happens to all of us. Just the frequency of which it occurs definitely varies. So yes, I see some daily in the chat box, maybe 3 to 4 times a week. Yep, it definitely happens to all of us very frequently. Depends on the season. Yes, absolutely. More stress in the spring. Yep. So sometimes, depending on what's going on in our environment or in the world around certain times of the month or certain times of the year, it definitely can have an impact on our stress. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So now I want you all to take a minute and think about, based on that stress that you experience, how often do you take time to incorporate strategies to manage your stress? So we see a few different strategies that are on the screen. You may or may not use any of these, maybe meditation, being out in nature, managing your time, listening to music, going to therapy, exercising. Just think about how frequently you take time to really incorporate strategies to manage your stress. Would you say daily? Maybe once a week, maybe 3, 4 times a week. Maybe I don't have time, I'm too overwhelmed. Just sort of think about how frequently you're able to sort of take time to we're coming back to our slides. So while we're doing that, now think about how frequently you are able to take time and engage in some self-care strategies. Our hope is that by the end of this presentation tonight, you'll have a few more tools in your toolbox that you can implement pretty easily wherever you are to help you manage your stress. Okay, I think, yes, it's the next slide. Yes.
I think so. Sorry, everyone, having a couple technical difficulties, but not going to let us stress that out during this stress-free presentation. All right, so before we dig into our presentation and share some very useful strategies and techniques to help either reduce or manage stress, we just want to talk about the impact of stress and the effects that stress can really have on our bodies as a whole, or on us as a whole. And so stress can impact us in several ways. Stress can impact us emotionally, physically, cognitively, and behaviorally. And so what we're going to show now are just some ways that stress can show up. And we're going to give you a moment just to read through each list. And you don't have to share with us, but just note, do any of these characteristics really resonate with you? Do you see yourself in any of these? So I'll pause and give you a moment to read through that list. So just highlighting a few of the emotional features. You can become easily agitated or frustrated and moody. You may feel overwhelmed, like you're losing control or that you need to take control. You may have difficulty relaxing and quieting your mind. Or maybe you begin to feel bad about yourself. Maybe you feel lonely, worthless, or depressed. Some ways that stress can show up physically are displayed. I'll give you a few moments to read through that before I read them aloud. So physically, low energy, headaches and upset stomach, aches, pains and tense muscles, insomnia, clenched teeth and jaws, nervousness and shaking, cold or sweaty hands and feet. Cognitively, constantly worrying, racing thoughts, forgetfulness and disorganization, inability to focus. Maybe you find yourself becoming pessimistic or only seeing the negative in situations. And then behaviorally, maybe you notice a change in your appetite, procrastinating and avoiding responsibilities, increasing the use of alcohol, drugs, or cigarettes, or maybe exhibiting more nervous behaviors such as nail biting, fidgeting, and pacing. So again, just taking a moment to become aware or to notice or to reflect even. Do any of these stand out to you? Does stress manifest itself in you in any of these ways? Again, you don't have to share with our community if you choose not to, but just important to take note of so that we are aware when stress shows up for us and how it may show up, so that we can incorporate some of those strategies that we saw a few slides back. All right. So we are going to dig in to our wellness practices.
And I see Kathy has dropped a link in the chat box for the self-care plan. So you may want to make sure you have that open while we're going through the session so you can take some notes and jot down anything that resonates with you.
So people should make a copy, is that right?
Correct. They can download a copy of it so that they have it.
All right. If anybody has trouble downloading that or accessing that, just let us know. So, all right. So I'm going to be talking about the road to wellness and self-care. So we can go to the next slide. So just take a minute and reflect and think about what comes to your mind when you think of these words, self-care. What's like the first thing that pops in your mind when you think about self-care? Oftentimes, you can go to the next slide, Andrea. Oftentimes when people think of self-care, when I've asked this question previously, yes, being proactive, that's a great description of self-care because it is something you have to plan for. It's not something that's going to happen magically. Nobody's going to create time in your schedule for you to create your self-care time. So you definitely have to be proactive at planning it and thinking about how it's going to be implemented. And a lot of times when we think about self-care, folks may think about, going to get a pedicure or manicure or massage. Doing things for you is absolutely making that time for you, dedicating to it. Yes, thank you for putting that in the chat as well. And a lot of times people will think about, those things that make them feel good, which, definitely can be helpful, but we want to think about self-care as something you can do daily, something you can do on a regular basis, right? Not, because maybe we don't always have money or time to go get a manicure or a pedicure or go get a massage or have a luxurious vacation. So we want to think about ways we can really be proactive, plan for your time. Self-care encourages you to say yes to you. So much of our time is often dedicated to other people and looking out after other folks and helping them, looking after your children and other family members. And so self-care is really about prioritizing you and really ensuring that you're able to maintain a healthy relationship with yourself. So when we think about that in our relationships with ourselves, how would you say your relationship with yourself is? If you really take some time and think about it, are you nurturing your physical health, nurturing your emotional health, your spiritual health? Are you challenging your mind in ways that you haven't done so before? Think about your whole body, mind, and spirit. How would you rate your relationship with yourself? And are there areas where you think you may need to improve your relationship with yourself? So we're going to dive into, okay, yep, definitely can be complicated. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not always very, easy or cut and dry to sort of have a self-care plan or think about how you're going to incorporate time for self-care. So thanks for acknowledging that. Or we can go to the next slide. Okay. So, as we said, it's complicated, right? There's a lot of stuff going on in our lives. We have multiple demands placed on us and pulling on us. And so, oftentimes when we are thinking about our self-care, we may just focus on one aspect. I know there's a lot of things on the slide. I'm going to kind of break it down for you a little bit, but we sometimes have a tendency to maybe get caught in one area of self-care. And I really like the wheel that is here on the screen because it really helps us think a little bit more broadly about self-care and some of the different areas that we may want to attend to. So there's psychological self-care where you may, and there's examples here. And let me say this at the outset. Some of the examples you may not necessarily say, well, I think, psychological self-care says, I don't know, relaxing, going to the ballet. If you don't like going to the ballet, that's fine. That doesn't have to be a part of your psychological self-care, right? These are just examples, but you kind of really want to think about what makes sense for you and what feels good for you and what helps you manage your stress, okay? So psychological, maybe going to therapy, drawing, painting, writing in a journal. We know writing can be really helpful to manage stress. There's emotional self-care where you may practice affirmations. Affirmations are a really powerful way to remind yourself of what's most important to you. Really powerful way to start your day. Providing those affirmations, practicing self-compassion is so important as an aspect of emotional self-care. And then there's spiritual self-care in terms of whatever that looks like for you. It could be doing yoga, it could be volunteering somewhere, maybe going into nature, maybe going to church, whatever that is for you. And then we have personal self-care. This is, where we make time to really dive into our social relationships or doing things just for us that we enjoy. So it could be making time with a friend, cooking outside, just relaxing, planning some goals. All right. And then we have professional self-care. And oftentimes we don't really associate professional life with self-care, right? We sometimes think of our self-care being something we do outside of work. But I would encourage you to also think about how you can engage in self-care while you're at work or even thinking about your professional self-care goals. So if we think about if you need to just practice making sure you eat lunch while you are at work, making sure you have breaks built in throughout your day, figuring out ways that you can connect with your colleagues and friends at work, right? Setting boundaries, that's an important professional self-care strategy. So just think about whatever it is that you might need to do to really help enhance your self-care in a professional way. And then we have physical self-care. We think about that often in terms of exercising, walking. Now that the weather is warming up a little bit, it's nice to certainly get outside and enjoy the weather. So, well, good. I'm glad you like this list. So there's a lot of different aspects of self-care, and I really like this, again, this diagram because it helps us think about self-care in a broader way. And so there's also a question on the slide that says, what do I need today? So oftentimes we wake up in the morning and we ask ourselves, what do I need to do today? Right? We automatically sort of start thinking about what's on our calendar, what do we have planned, who do we have to pick up, who do we have to drop off, what meetings do we have? And I encourage you, before you get to that, what do I need to do, to ask yourself, what do I need today? What do I need today? because that is going to help determine, right, the course of your day, should help determine the course of your day. Do you need to feel connected? Do you need time alone? Do you need more time for movement because your body is kind of stiff, right? So check in with yourself first. What do I need today, before we start just going down that laundry list of things that we need to do. And I see some people have just joined. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad you are here. So I'm going to give you all a moment to, oh, also on the screen, there's a QR code there. And if you kind of want to dig a little bit deeper, oh, wonderful. Thank you for putting that in the chat box. It will take you to the link. You all are so fast. I love my team. You all are amazing. If you click on that link, it will take you to an assessment that will allow you to answer certain questions to help you figure out really a self-assessment. Oh, then there it is. And so you can answer certain questions in the different categories to help you get a sense of how your self-care is in these different areas. And so it has lots of examples there. So thank you for showing that. Okay, and so we aren't going to have time for you all to do that whole assessment today, but we're going to do a rough sort of check-in, okay? So if you can go to the next slide, what you're going to do is, if you can get a piece of paper, or you can even kind of, if you're creative, you can maybe download have an app on your phone that lets you draw. Feel free to do whatever works for you, but you want something where you can draw on. And I just want you to draw a big circle. And then what you're going to do is create a pie chart. So thinking about how much time you dedicate to these different areas of self-care. So, and we'll go back to the screen so you can see the descriptions if you would like to in a moment. But just think about, your pie chart with the biggest pieces of your pie, how much time should have the biggest amount of time that you're spending in that particular area. Smallest piece of the pie would be the smallest amount of time. And there might be some pieces of the pie that might be the same or equal or close to the same, and that's okay. I just want you to take a few minutes to create your pie chart. And if we can go back to the previous screen, sometimes that's helpful for people as they are working on their pie charts, so they can see some examples. So we'll give you all about 5 minutes to work on your pie chart. And we will come back in just a moment and share any reflections or ideas that came up for you when you were working on your pie chart. And if you're watching this recorded, you can just pause the video and work on your pie chart. I'm gonna give you about 3 more minutes or 2 more minutes. All right, so if anyone just joined or just making a pie chart, thinking about how much time we dedicate to each of these areas of self-care. We have about 2 minutes left. And if you're not finished by that time, no worries. Was anybody still working? Anybody need more time? Okay. All right, so let's move forward. If you're still working on your pie chart, no worries. You can definitely have time to go back and complete that later. But just take a minute and think about, as you went through that exercise, did anything stand out to you? Did you have any aha moments or anything where you said, I thought I kind of spent a lot of time in that, but maybe I actually need to spend more time doing this thing that actually would be helpful for me. Or maybe I haven't thought about my professional self-care, and that's the area I need to focus on. Anything come up for you that you would like to share? No pressure. Sometimes when people engage in this exercise, I hear a lot of different comments about sort of realization, certainly about things they would like to spend a little bit more time doing. So if there was something that came up for you, definitely think about how you can add that into your self-care plan. And thanks for sharing that in the chat. Yeah, focusing on physical health and thinking about what that may look like for you. Definitely. Okay. Well, thank you. All right. So okay. I see a few more comments coming in. Focusing a lot on my psychological, need to focus more on physical. Yes. Yeah. And it's, very easy to kind of, get stuck in our routines and our sort of day-to-day practices. And sometimes it's not until we sort of stop and pause and think about, what's missing or what can I add into my self-care regimen, that we realize that there's something maybe we used to do that we're doing less of, that we kind of want to get back to. And it's certainly hard when we're busy and we're sitting a lot of time at work, and definitely for the physical piece, that can be a challenge. All right. So thank you all for sharing and participating in that activity. So also want to take a minute. So we talked about self-care and, some strategies for self-care, but what have you all been doing so far? So what are some strategies that you have found really helpful in just sort of centering yourself, grounding yourself when you start to feel overwhelmed, start to feel stressed out? What has been helpful for you? And you can share any thoughts or things that you do in the chat box. Sometimes what you do can be helpful for someone else. So oftentimes we might get ideas or see what other folks are doing. Yes, reading and unplugging, that is definitely very helpful. Reading is a great way to take your mind somewhere else. Pray, call your sister. Yeah, getting some social support, focusing on that spiritual piece, journaling. Having that quiet time is so important too after a busy day. Yes, watching a comedy or stand up, love that. Get some good laughs in, exercising, calling a friend, wonderful. So you will already have some great strategies that you are utilizing. And it's just a matter of kind of thinking about how to really incorporate those on a regular basis and make sure we are doing what we can to take care of ourselves and manage our stress. All right, we can go to the next slide. Okay, so I also like this practice, self-care strategy, because you can literally do it anywhere. You don't need any special tools or any special strategy, or not special strategy. You don't need anything special, just you and your breath. And as long as you have that, you can have this to go back to. And it's called the stop and slow practice. So you can see that the first letter in stop corresponds to a different activity, and the letters in slow correspond to a different activity. But these are just very simple ways to just sort of slow down, check in, be still. So stop. This is very helpful when you're starting to feel overwhelmed. Maybe you have to make a decision about something. You don't want to do something impulsively. You just kind of need to stop right before we proceed. So this is a good reminder of sort of just what to do, kind of slowing down, taking a few deep breaths. We took some breaths collectively in the beginning of this session, and we just all noticed, kind of how our bodies responded to those deep breaths. So when you have a moment to take those deep breaths and just check in with your body, as we did, in the beginning, what thoughts might be coming up for you, how your body feels. Is your body warm? Is it cold? Are you sweating? And just observing, not judging, just observing what you notice that comes up when you take those breaths and slow down. And then you hopefully will be in a better space to actually proceed, make a decision, and move forward with what you're doing. So that's kind of stopping first. And then the slow practice, oftentimes this is a good just sort of grounding practice when you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling stressed out. You just are having a moment and you just kind of want to slow your body down, slow your mind down. The slow practice is a great way to do that. So oftentimes we have a lot of tension in our bodies and we don't always pay attention to it, but it's usually giving us a sign that, we're stressed, something's going on. And we may also sometimes hold some tension in our face. So this is a reminder to, soften your jaw. Like even right now, if you think about your jaw, is it clenched? Is it relaxed? Is your tongue at the roof of your mouth, or is it resting, a little bit lower, right? Think about, you can almost just sometimes even just close your eyes and soften, make sure all those muscles in your face are softened. And you kind of work your way down your body. Think about your shoulders. We did a little shoulder exercise in the beginning of the session, right? But oftentimes when I am tense, I know my shoulders are like way up here. And so sometimes it can be helpful just to do that exercise. Inhale, and then bring those shoulders back down and allow them to relax. Thinking about our breathing, making sure when we are inhaling and exhaling that you're feeling it in your belly, right? You're breathing from your belly as opposed to your chest. We know when we do that shallow breathing in our chest, that might be very quick and very fast. It doesn't give us that relaxed state that we're looking for. So you want to make sure you have the biggest, deepest breath you can possibly take, really taking up space in your belly as you inhale and exhale. And then this last one is to wiggle your toes and feel your feet on the ground. So this is a wonderful grounding strategy. So just take a moment and wiggle your toes in your shoes or on the floor in your socks, right? And just notice how that feels, paying attention to your toes. You can even do it, outside in the grass, get connected to the earth. But just this practice, again, if you're wiggling your toes, focusing on how your feet feel on the ground, being grateful, giving gratitude to your feet for all that they do to balance you, support you, nurture you, carry you to and fro. That, again, is a practice that can help us be mindful when we're thinking about our feet and our toes and how they feel on the ground. We can't think about anything else because we're too concerned with really focusing on that particular activity, right? So anyway, so I like this practice. It's a very simple to remember, and you can do that anywhere you are. So hopefully you all can practice that when you have an opportunity to dig into this a little bit more. And I think we can, yeah, so that's just another example. I'm not going to go through this in great detail, but it is a wonderful picture. Doesn't it just like make you want to relax on a beach somewhere, right? So one of the other strategies that I love to practice when I am feeling stressed or just need a moment to relax is to engage in a practice where you really get all of your senses involved and literally transporting you to another place. Now, for me, I love the beach. So the beach is my happy place where I'm relaxed and I don't have a care in the world. For you, it could be someplace different. You could be on the mountains. You could be on in a cabin in the woods. Whatever it is, the goal is to really transport yourself to that space in your mind and really think about getting all your senses involved while you are there. So thinking about what you hear, what you feel when you're there. Just sort of imagining whatever it is in your environment, right? Really bringing all your senses to light, what you even smell, how does it smell wherever that place is for you? But just really getting all of your senses involved in that experience and just kind of immersing yourself in that place. It's a wonderful, wonderful strategy to help just sort of calm your mind, calm your body. Again, you can do that anywhere, anytime. All right, and we can go, I think the next slide is just reminders that I love to share that I think are very helpful when we are thinking about our self-care and wellness. One is to express gratitude. We know that expressing gratitude, expressing appreciation does wonders for our mood, helps us feel better, helps us feel more relaxed. So taking that time to express gratitude can be really helpful. Sometimes people may even create a gratitude journal where they're keeping a list of things that they are grateful for. Maybe starting 5 things that you're grateful for in the morning, maybe 5 things before you go to bed. A wonderful way to incorporate some really wellness strategy into your day-to-day life. Again, setting your intentions for the day. When you wake up, what is it that you need? What is it that you need? Thinking about your intentions for the day, thinking about how you want to show up on that particular day. What are your intentions beyond what's on your calendar? What are your intentions for the day? It talks about breathing, how critical those deep breaths are and just helping us stay calm and grounded. If you can just do 5, you would be amazed at just sort of how you feel after you take those 5 deep breaths. Smiling is amazing. Everybody needs a wonderful smile. And remember to have some compassion for yourself and forgive yourself for yesterday's mistakes, remembering that we are not perfect. We're not expected to be. And however you show up is okay. And just forgive yourself for whatever didn't happen today or yesterday. And we start over tomorrow. All right. And I think that is it. Yes, I love number 5. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you all so much for your engagement and participation. I hope this has been helpful for you. And we're going to turn it over to my wonderful colleague, Kathy Stevens.
Thank you. So we will go ahead and jump right in. For those of you that joined a little later, my name is Kathy Stevens, and I am with the Wellbeing Office out of Prince George's County Public Schools. So with that, we'll jump right in. So as Dana said earlier, she gave a great description of what self-care is. So what I want to do now is I want to have you close your eyes. I want you to fully focus on what your perfect wellness vision would be. You can wave a wand and you are at your best health. You are running your marathon. You are your best form of yourself, whatever that looks like for you. But I want you to take a moment, just close your eyes. Remember, you have that magic wand. Everything's perfect in your world. What does your perfect wellness, your perfect self look like, feel like? What's your health like? What does that vision of wellness look like for you? So maybe again, maybe it's being able to run around and play with your kids or your grandkids, or going on a hike up a mountain that's been really challenging. Maybe it's just getting away from some medications because you've made some changes. Maybe it's having less stress. Now, come back and open your eyes and think about, with that wellness vision, what would it take to get you to there, to that vision? Wellness is like a journey. And on that journey, it is not a straight line. So when you think about your wellness, there's going to be detours, there's going to be roadblocks. But remember, you are the captain of your journey. So that ties back also to what Dana was saying about making yourself a priority, and your self-care helps take you on that journey, helps get you where you're going. So on the next slide, you'll see two questions. So now that you've got your wellness vision, you're thinking about yourself in the captain chair of your journey to get to this vision, whether it's 5 years from now, 1 year from now, 10 years from now. And now let's take a step back. When was the last time you set a goal for yourself? Maybe it was a New Year's resolution. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a brand new goal. Maybe it's a continuation of a goal. But when was the last time you actually set a self-care goal? Something purely focused on you, not on your kids, not on your family members, not on your coworkers, but all about you. And then once you think about that, then think about the last time you reached your goal. When was the last time you made a goal and you reached that goal? Did you reach it and maintain it? So we set this all up to say goals are important, and especially when you're thinking about your self-care. And wellness encompasses a lot. So we're going to focus on a couple core areas of wellness in the next few slides. But through all of this, be thinking about, what do you need in your journey right now? So being a health coach and working with individuals over the years, we have a tendency to naturally want to be like, well, 10 years ago, I was able to, do this, or I could do that. We need to remember that our journey changes. And what do you need in the moment? Somebody mentioned seasons earlier. Seasons are going to change. Where you're at and your situation is going to change. Having self-compassion, remembering that your situation now is different than what it was 5 years ago, and it will probably be different in another 5 years. So remember to keep yourself in the moment. So as you're setting these goals, you've got your wellness vision, and you're starting to think about, what do you need right now? So one of the areas of wellness is physical wellness. And sometimes we are really on top of this. Sometimes we are really good. It's the easy one for us. We can get out, we can get a walk. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it feels like something that we're adding to our day. It can feel overwhelming. So we want to think about two components to this. There's physical activity. That's just getting up, walking around, making sure we're moving and not just sitting all day. And sometimes it's easy to kind of get trapped into sitting for extended periods, but we want to make sure we're getting up and moving around. Then there's exercise. Exercise, by definition, is structured, it's planned, it's intentional. So we've got physical activity that's really important, and we've got exercise that's important. So I will say to you too, based on where you're at right now, think about, what do you need? As Dina said earlier. So we're kind of piggybacking a lot. You're going to notice that theme. We're going to build through this. What do you need today? Today, do you have time for a 5-minute walk 3 different times throughout the day just to make sure you're getting that physical activity? Or is today one of those days where you really need that 30 minutes of exercise? Make it fun, make it enjoyable, have a plan. If this is your goal, we want it structured. You're going to notice in that self-care plan, when you're writing your goals, you want to be specific. You want to say, I'm going to walk 3 times a week on Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 15 minutes each. And then that, at the end of the week, you're going to evaluate that goal. but you want to make it fun. You want to incorporate it. But remember also, what do you need? We're not trying to add things to your day. We're not trying to add additional, but what do you need today? But we want to get up. We want to get moving. We want to be physically active. Physical activity is important to both your physical health. It helps reduce risk for chronic disease, but it's also critically important to our mental health. So remember, it impacts everything. All right. And then on the next slide, another area of wellness that might be your focus. Maybe you've got physical activity, you've got it, you're good. That's not what you're needing today. Maybe it's nutrition. Maybe your goals need to focus around nutrition. And when we think about nutrition, it is important to think about something we can sustain. A lot of times we can do a lot of things for 30 days. And I kind of pick on the 30 days. There's a lot of things out there that are 30-day plans. And we can do a lot of things for 30 days. But what can you do that you can sustain? What can you do that you can sustain while managing a family, being a caregiver? What we eat impacts how we feel. How we feel impacts what we eat. So there's a lot to be said for you are what you eat, whether we want to admit that or not. But when you're thinking about nutrition, think about what can you sustain long-term? What is, try and stick to those nutrient-dense foods. Notice I didn't say that you had to cook everything at home and everything had to be from scratch, homemade. It can be store-bought. Think about your budget. Think about what you have time for. These are all considerations. Making sure you're watching portion sizes. If you have time to food prep, there's a lot of tricks and tools out there for food prep, but you want to look for your nutrient-dense foods. You want to try and limit that sugar, sodium, and excess fat. My Plate is an excellent source for information for yourself, for your family. There's kid-friendly information on there. Get the kids involved. Get your family involved. When they're involved in the meal planning, it makes things, they have buy-in. Help get them in the kitchen when possible. Have them help you create meal plans. So again, thinking about your situation now, if this is your focus for your wellness journey, there's a lot of tools out there. There's eatright.org, My Plate, lots of great tools and resources out there. And then we start to think about sleep. Sleep is a fun one because we like to try and ignore it, even though we need it. And usually mid-afternoon, we're wishing we had gotten a little more sleep. Sleep is important. And when we think about sleep in our wellness journey, sleep really does impact our cognitive, our physical, and our mental. And yet it's something we like to try and minimize. We try to, squeak out as many hours in our day awake as possible and think, oh, well, I'll get a little extra sleep on the weekends. In reality, it doesn't really work that way. But think about your children or think about when you were a child. We all pretty much had bedtime routines. We had a routine that probably cut off TV at a certain point, but it involved a routine and we had a set time we went to bed. And we got a good night's sleep. We got up, we bounced up, we drove our parents nuts the next morning. Or, whoever was in the house that we could wake up and had a great day. But routines are important for adults too. So if you're thinking about, what I need to focus on to get me to that wellness vision is getting better sleep, there's ways to do it incrementally. And if you are somebody that's trying to get back to sleep at an earlier bedtime, trying to go from midnight to 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. Sorry, that was a really trying to get a good night's sleep there. Do it incrementally. Try and watch how much TV you're getting, what kind of TV you're getting. It's not just about how much and the TV itself, but what are you watching? Is it causing your mind to race? If you're somebody that is overstimulated maybe by the news, maybe really take it to heart. And maybe don't watch the news right before bed. One thing you'll hear too is that, well, maybe having a glass of wine before bed will help. Well, it might help you get to sleep a little faster, but it's not going to help you stay asleep. It does. Alcohol and caffeine both disrupt your sleep patterns. So we do want to everything in moderation, but trying to get back to a routine. Try and cut back on TV time, maybe read a book, journal, meditation. There's a lot of great things you can do before bed to help you ease into sleep. Oh, I can't change my own slides. Um, sorry. And then think about your journey too. How are you managing your stress? I know Dana did a whole section on this, so I'm not going to dwell on this too much, but there's a lot of things you can do. One I love to do with my family is a gratefulness jar. This is where you simply write down things you're grateful for on a regular basis. Have your family or you can do it at work, you can do it at home, you can have one jar, you can have multiple jars. Write down things you're grateful for and put them in the jar. Then determine when you're going to go back through and read those things. You can do it once a month, once a week, maybe when you're just feeling a little down or feeling a little stressed, and you can go through and read those. It's a great family activity as well. But you'll see on here financial. I know we haven't touched on that yet, but financial stress can be a huge stressor. So finding programs through local banks, local churches will sometimes have community programs to help with financial wellness as well. Decluttering is another one. So you think about when you walk into your kitchen and your kitchen's super clean and you're so excited and you just breathe that sigh of relief because you don't have to clean the kitchen, your house is nice and clean. Now think about when you walk into your house or your kitchen and there's dishes everywhere. The kids have been through the house, there's stuff everywhere, it's very cluttered. Think about how you feel. So when you start to think about decluttering, there's actually a lot of books that you can check out at your library on decluttering and how it impacts our emotional and mental health. So that is my analogy. I am the mom of 3 boys. That is my disclaimer. So I can definitely relate to the clean versus non-clean, non-cluttered versus cluttered house. All right. So the last slide I want to go through is really getting back to that vision. We've covered the different areas of your wellness. And when you start to think about your wellness vision, you want to start then working backwards. So where do I want to be in a year? And then that's still at that vision level though. And then you want to break that down and say, okay, now where do I want to be in 6 months? Now you're starting to get closer to the SMART goals. And then you want to get down to that 3-month goal. So this sounds like a lot, right? But what we're doing is we're working backwards to get to the weekly goals. You want to set weekly goals for yourself, even if it's just one goal a week. Focus on one behavior a week, one self-care practice you're going to do per week. So is that getting out, connecting with nature, and walking 3 times a week? Is that eating a salad twice a week? That sounds like it would be really easy to do, but sometimes it can be really hard to incorporate that salad, right? Because that means you have to do a little prep and a little planning. But what is your goal that over time is going to turn into a habit that then you can work on to another goal, all building to get you to that wellness vision? Again, thinking about what's your why? Why is this important to you? Why is that vision your vision? Why is it important to you? What is your motivation? What roadblocks could you run into? We don't want to focus on the negative, but we want to turn it into a positive. We want to take those roadblocks that we could run into with the goals, because we know we're going to run into some goals. If your goal is to walk 3 times a week outside and it rains all week, that is definitely a roadblock. So what's your backup plan? So you focus on what could potentially get in your way and act as a roadblock so that you can come up with that alternate path. You can be your own GPS and reroute yourself before you even get there. And then who's going to hold you accountable? We all on our journey to get to our wellness vision need others in our journey. Those people may change as you go through your journey, but who's going to be there? Who can you call and say, hey, I set this goal? And maybe, maybe it's your best friend, maybe it's a cousin, maybe it's a family member, who can you call and say, I set this goal, I'm going to check in with you at the end of the week. Check on, and then you check in, good, bad, or otherwise. It's not about whether you reach the goal or not. That person is there going to be there to celebrate your success or say, hey, how are you going to reach it next week? Because you came just a little shy this week. What happened? How can we get there? If you have access to health coaches, They are a great way to have an additional accountability buddy. Check with your insurance carrier. Many times they have health coaches available to you. And celebrate your success. Celebrate your success. Find creative, fun ways to celebrate your success. So if maybe that's when you go for that pedicure that was mentioned at the very beginning. So maybe if you reach your goal for three weeks in a row or for 3 months in a row, you have different levels of celebration. So remember to celebrate your success. With that, I'm excited to pass your journey on to Andrea for the next section. Oh, for a quick 5-minute break first.
All right. We'll take a 5-minute break if we can. Actually, we'll do a 3-minute break. If we can pause the recording.
I shall pause.
Awesome, awesome. So, Andrea Burrell, I am a special education instructional specialist, but I am also a certified emotional learning facilitator and a yoga instructor. And so I love sharing out mindful movement flows. And so that's what I'm about to do now. So the title of this section of our presentation is called There's Power in Pausing. And we are going to take a moment to move together. Going to ask you to take a moment to read this waiver. As soon as you have finished reading the waiver, in the chat, go ahead and type what you see in red. I have read and acknowledged the waiver of liability. Give us about 1 minute to do that. Right, thank you. They're coming in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Give it about 20 more seconds. All right, we're going to go ahead and begin. And we're going to take about, let's see, where's our time? Between 7 and 10 minutes to engage in this exercise. So for this session, you don't need much. A chair, maybe something to jot down, a reflection. Feel free to keep your cameras on or turn them off, whatever feels good to you. But most importantly, allow yourself the gift of relaxation. All right. So with that, let's see if I can pin myself, spotlight for everyone. I think that's what I want to do. Oh, okay. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. So during our time together, we're going to engage in a few things, and I'm going to go through these briefly so we can get to the movement. But deep breathing, mindful movement, stillness, and reflection. Deep breathing allows us to connect more deeply to our bodies. It helps to calm our nervous system, and it decreases stress in the body. Mindful movement exercises. As we move our bodies, I invite you to notice your breath, any sensations, anything you feel in your body, what emotions are coming up for you, and what thoughts are coming up for you. Again, as we said earlier in the presentation, no judgment. We're just becoming aware and noticing and observing. Stillness. Stillness offers the opportunity to self-reflect, to go within, and to bring our attention to our thoughts and our emotions, just to pause, to notice. And then a quick reflection. There's power in pausing. You have the opportunity to reflect on our time together, and some may wish to have a journal or a notes app handy. And so without further ado, we've signed our waiver. We acknowledge that waiver. You have your chair ready. I'm going to cue the music. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we are going to engage in a mindful movement exercise. All right. So I'm going to move my light. I'm going to cue my music. Hopefully you can hear it. All right. And with that, thank you, I can see you. I'm gonna ask you to just sit nice and tall in your chair. Plant your feet nice and firmly on the ground beneath you. Maybe take a moment to wiggle your toes. Flex your toes towards the ceiling and then down. One more time, towards the ceiling, down. All right, sitting up nice and tall. Side body nice and long. Shoulders are relaxed. Gaze is forward. Take your right hand and go ahead and place it on your heart center. Take your other hand and place it on your belly if that's available to you. If it feels good, go ahead and close your eyes or lower your gaze by looking down. We're going to take a few moments to engage in deep breathing. We've heard about deep breathing a few times throughout the presentations. So when you're ready, take a nice deep breath in through your nostrils. Let's hold when we get to the top, and then nice and slowly blow it out as if we were blowing a candle out. Nice deep breath in. Let's hold. And nice and slowly blow it out. This time, bring your attention to your chest and your stomach as they rise and fall with the inhale and the exhale. Nice deep breath in. Nice slow breath out. Last time together. Nice deep breath in. Really feel the lift of the chest, the fullness of the belly. Nice slow exhale out. And with your gaze still lowered or your eyes closed, I invite you to just take a moment to notice any sensations in your body. Take a moment to notice any emotions that are coming up for you. No judgment, just notice. And as we did with our check-in, go ahead and identify 2 words that really capture how you feel in this moment. Once you have your 2 words, go ahead and release your hands down to your lap. Lift your gaze or open up your eyes. Coming back to this space, and let's bring some movement to our body. All right. Go ahead and bring your right ear or the right side of your body towards your right shoulder. Taking a nice deep breath here. Stay for the exhale. Nice deep breath in. Coming back to center. Stay for the exhale. Make sure your shoulders are nice and relaxed. Chest is nice and broad. Side body's nice and long. Let's engage on the other side, bringing the left ear towards the left shoulder. Shoulders are relaxed. Take a nice deep breath in here. And a nice slow exhale out. One more deep breath in, coming back to center. And nice slow exhale out. Right, we're going to travel down our body. We're going to come to our shoulders now. So I invite you, if it feels good, bring your hands and place them on your shoulders. Or you can bring your hands and place them on your lap, whatever feels good to you. We're going to engage in some nice, gentle shoulder rolls. So bringing our shoulders up towards our ear, back, bringing our shoulder blades together, down and up, nice and slowly. Go ahead and reverse direction. Just noticing how this feels in your body. Sometimes stress and tension resides in our neck and in our shoulders, our upper back. So just giving space to release it. Coming back to center, going to travel down our body to our chest. Go ahead and bring your arms parallel one to another. Yeah, as if we are a goalpost. And we are going to sync our breath to this movement. So let's inhale to open. Nice and broad, really stick out that chest. Yes, shoulder blades coming closer together. Exhale to close. Yes. Going to do this 2 more times. Inhale to open. And exhale to close. One more time. Nice big inhale, open. And exhale to close. Awesome. Right. Bring your palms to touch. Placing them in front of your heart center. Inhale, sweep those arms up, up, up above your head. Palms to touch. Slowly exhale, bring the palms back together. Yes. Going to do that 2 more times together. Inhale up, really reach up, wiggle those fingers. Yes. Exhale to lower. One more time, we're going to add on. So inhale up. Stay right here for the exhale. Nice deep breath in. Twist the body to the right. Yes, really twisting the torso. And as you exhale, lower your hands, bringing that front hand on the outside of the opposite knee, and then that back hand, for me, it's my right hand, just going to place on my the arm of my chair. You can place it on the back of your chair if that feels good. All right. Nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, go ahead and twist the torso just a little bit more if that feels good to you. Stay right here for the exhale. Nice deep breath in. And exhale. Nice deep breath in, coming back to center. Stay for the exhale. Bring the palms back together. Inhale up. And as you exhale, twist to the opposite side. Yes. Nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, go ahead and lower the arms, allowing the right hand to frame that left knee. And the other hand is just dropping by your side or resting on the arm of your chair. Nice deep breath in. And stay for the exhale. Last time, nice deep breath in. And as you slowly exhale, come back to center. And with our last 30 seconds, I invite you to lean your back against the back of your chair if you have one. Walk your feet out in front of you. Maybe you place your palms on your heart center or on your lap. Closing your eyes or lowering your gaze. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, allow your body to relax, to be still. For a few moments. When you're ready, take a nice deep breath in. And this time, sigh it out. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. Maybe here you thank yourself for giving yourself the opportunity to pause, if only if it were for a few moments. And when you're ready, go ahead and open up your eyes. And we are going to close out this session.